Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, Goal Strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Evan Fox, who is founder and owner of Yeastie Boys Bagels. So welcome, Evan.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Well, first of all, I'm from the Midwest. You have family from the Midwest. We know the importance, and you spend time in New York. We
Yep,
know the importance of a bagel.
absolutely.
And it feels like, I feel like there's a pun here. By starting your bagel food truck, you filled a hole in a need, which is good bagels in LA. So
Wow,
is
that's a
that,
good nice that is a good one. And by the way, wow, that was good. I feel as though, there was a hole that needed to be filled and we brought some bagels to LA, and felt like, LA is just such a big city of full of Jews, and surprisingly when I started there was really not as many options, for bagels. So I just felt like, man, this might be my thing.
did you just wake up one day and say, I need a bagel. I'm going to start a bagel food truck?
So I guess it goes back to just, being a young kid eating deli, my mom would always, have a dozen bagels from our local spot. I actually grew up in Scottsdale where there's a deli there called Chompy's, and she'd have a dozen Chompy's bagels with, you know, egg bagels, sesame plaid, Bialys, and a couple things of cream cheese, and, like, that was just, like, my favorite thing to eat after school, come home, fresh, hot bagels there, and, just growing up on Jewish cuisine, deli cuisine, and, I didn't realize it at the time because I was a musician, I still am a musician, I mess around, now, but I was, really full-time sort of, playing music and really focused on that, but I didn't realize, like, how deep, like, Jewish food, the Passovers, the Rosh Hashanahs, everything, like, really impacted me and how important that was to me until I moved, away and had, like, for example, the New York bagels there, unreal, I never until I moved to New York, I never had a New York bagel. I'd never, like, realized how insane those things were, and, um, I think I was on a tour with a band at the time, and this was probably, like, 2006 or something was, like, maybe my first New York bagel, and I just was like, dude, that was it for me. Like, every time I went to New York after that, when I moved there, it was just like every day that was what I was eating, and they're on every block, every corner. And yeah, and so when I moved to LA, I guess that was kind of a long-winded answer, but when I moved to LA, I just felt there was really just lacking that. Like, there was no real a few spots, Western Bagel, shout out to Western Bagel. They've been doing it a long time, on Fairfax, you had the Diamond Bakeries and the Cantors, all that stuff, but there wasn't really, I felt like, much of a conversation around bagels. So, um, yeah, I guess I did wake up one day in LA thinking that. And of course, I've been working in the food industry for since I was a kid just to pay the bills and, through high school and through college and, um, as a musician, and it's just like I understood the, like, restaurant culture and the people behind it, and, I was a server, a bartender, I never worked back of house, but I was always, like, really close with those guys and just kind of, they were like my people, So, I thought that how could I sort of make an impact in a place like Los Angeles where I could, like, take my love for, um, my passion for, like, bu like, and ideas, like music or art or culture in general, like, how can I take, like, that and be, like, the hype man that I am, which, like, that's my I love promoting things I'm passionate about and things I'm excited about, and I felt like there was just an opening there for me, like, ho I like bagels. That was such a long-winded answer, but you got me thinking and going, so I don't know if I answered that, but
Uh, uh, those are the best kind. I'm all about the open-ended questions because that's where we get the gold, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And when did you open your first Yeastie Boys?
You asked when I first opened it?
Yes.
Yeah, so, basically, we started off, I had a partner at the time. We started it together in 2014, and, we were just kinda, like, messing around, like, after work, like, making funny bagel memes on Instagram and making, like, 6 packs or 12 packs of bagels that we would get those pink boxes, and we would stamp, like, the Yeastie Boys logo on it and just send it to friends, send it to family, like, "Yo, what do you think about these bagels? Like, we just started making these things and, what do you think? What do you think?" And we started sending them to people that, I had connections with in the music industry, like, just various people, in LA, and one of those people being, Nick Adler of Golden Voice. And I reached out to him blindly. I was like, "Hey, man, I want you to try these things." And I think that, and Golden Voice is responsible for putting on Coachella. So I was like, might be cool to hit this guy up, see if he has a use for us in Coachella. And he's like, "Yo, this is brilliant. This is a really good idea. I think we could use you on the campgrounds, at Coachella because we have all these like hungover kids waking up and they want breakfast. And I think that the Yeastie Boys, as a brand, fits sort of the vibe." And so I ground up, from help with a guy, actually a woman I know, a D, who is from Scottsdale originally, moved here and had a partner that, was sort of our first backer, I would say. And he kind of helped us get to Coachella through Coachella. And then right after Coachella, we launched our first truck, which was in March of 2015. I guess, sorry, April of
And
2015.
that's still not a very long runway to go from here, try my bagels to bagel truck, right?
Sometimes I feel like I've been nonstop since that. I literally, I'm like, I haven't slowed down. Like it's been getting bigger and better and crazier and more stressful, but like in a good way. And so like, yeah, I feel like I mean, man, I'm 40 now. I just turned 40. I was 28, 29. And it's just like, so much has happened in the last over a decade, and it's just like pretty wild, pretty wild. Grateful and blessed to be here, but also like, wow, thinking back, it's like been a lot, been a journey.
And you blinked and here you are. And you clearly have fun with the truck and the bagels and the names. And is that all you?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I've hired some amazing, like talented bakers and chefs and things over the years that have sort of helped me refine the final product. But for the most part, the menu is pretty much just like what I think people like. And like my whole thing for Yeastie Boys is like, how can I make the like daily something that people want to eat daily that's like a quick bagel, that's like a classic that you'd get at a bodega in New York, or like in my case as a kid where you'd come home and you'd grab some lox and you'd grab some cream cheese, or a go-to was my like toasted bagel with like butter, salt and melted Munster cheese on top. That would just go straight into the toaster oven. So like, you know, how can I like take the old classics and make them sort of more refined, uh, more sort of current, and and the names I think pretty much are just like pop culture references that I think are funny. Really, it's sort of just a funny to me. But
And if it's funny to you, it is likely going to be funny to someone else.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I was going to ask if your favorite bagel then is the same as your favorite bagel now.
Yeah, as far as just like like just plain bagels, I think pound for pound, sesame is my favorite. And I'd say close runner up is an egg bagel because I love egg bagels. Um, and I would say third on my list is an egg everything bagel.
Ooh,
So those are my
see,
top threes.
I love it. And do you just mix and match different toppings so you're not bored? You eat a bagel every day, I would imagine.
I used to eat so many bagels. I used to eat bagels every day, multiple times a day. When I was first starting, I would, we would bake them fresh in the kitchen, and I thought wholesale would be the game for us, and so I started wholesaling different people around town. Our first account was Swingers Diner. Shout out to Swingers. And I remember delivering bagels to them every morning, and they were like piping hot in my front seat, cheddar bagels. Like I was just eating them like it was like, I gained a lot of weight those first few years for sure. But it was worth it. But I think, yeah, the cheddar bagels, man, like just eating them hot, piping hot, and I was just, wow. So, but I
What?
guess to answer your question, I'm probably like a once a week bagel on that.
Okay, I don't honestly understand how you can do that. I mean, there are
I
extremes, but there
went
are
to I
extremes.
because I was I mean, listen, there were days where I was multiple eating bagel. I was like, and like that went on for years and years and years. So, you know, so I think overall, I'm just like, thankfully that I have a really solid crew who can taste them and test them
It's
out and make sure they're on point. So
it's important to have good people who can test to make sure.
very.
And what makes a good bagel?
So I mean, what I think makes a good bagel is, from my end, it has to have I like a New York style bagel, which is they are very plump. They are very they have got a nice chew. They have a nice sweetness to it, usually from like barley malt. And they have a nice sort of crust, which is um it has a nice crust when you bite into it, but it's soft and chewy in the middle. So like I would say that is like my favorite style of bagel. But then you kinda have these bagels that are, newer style bagels, like, let's say, a Courage bagel, where it's, like, almost like a sourdough, very crunchy, I get it's closer to, like, a Montreal style bagel, which I really like too, but it's a totally different experience you're having with, like, a Montreal style bagel or, like, a New York style bagel. But Yeastie Boys is known for, like, New York style bagel.
Got it. And I'm with you because I remember when I moved to LA, Western Bagel, that was the one
Yep.
near where I lived, and they were fine, but they were not Chicago bagels, which is I
Right.
grew up in the Chicago suburb.
So, I think with Western, like, mad respect to Western Bagel. I think that they just produce so many. They're like a machine. They're like robots making them. You know what I mean? So they're wholesalers. They just pump out volume, and so they my guess would be that they don't, proof them long enough. They don't let them. Uh, when you put them in the walk-in and it's just like the dough retards a little bit, it creates the flavor. And when you're moving volume like that, you can't like keep them in the walk-in for, a long time to let that happen because you're just pumping volume. So I think like a lot of that flavor develops in the dough and the recipe and leaving it in the walk-in cooler and stuff like that overnight, couple days. Um, and just being, like boiling the bagel properly and not skimping on that, like you gotta really massage the dough, man. It's a whole thing. It's a whole process, and it's a multiple day process. So yeah, like when you get a bagel that tastes like off, or you're just like, oh, this is like okay, you're probably getting a bagel that was uh like mixed and boiled and baked that day, like all in one day. So you're missing flavor, you're missing texture, and so on.
And now we know it takes 11 years to get a PhD in bagel, which is what you clearly have.
Yeah, I've eaten a lot of bagels. I've tested a lot of bagels. We've made and sold a lot of bagels, so I would say I'm an expert at this point.
And I have to fangirl, your bagels really are amazing.
Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No, 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 thank you we're having such good bagels because it's okay. I will stop gushing now. Well,
No,
maybe.
it's cool. I mean, I'm hard on myself, and I think that, we miss the mark sometimes because, scaling and building a business and doing volume and stuff like that, like, you have quality control issues. You've got somebody in the kitchen that is new, or you have somebody that, you know, was late, or there's so many things that could go wrong, and they do go wrong, and hopefully they're not major catastrophes where, like, the consumer would, flinch. I think it's just me, like, in a lot of ways, like, looking at that stuff, but that's sort of my, as a business owner, just always looking at how I can make things better and keep quality control and making sure standards are there. And yeah.
And what is the big goal for you for your business? Because I find it hard to believe. I mean, you're always creating and experimenting,
Yeah.
but given the few minutes I've spent with you today, it's not never going to be enough for you. So what are you working toward?
Changes all the time. It changes all the time. I, man, I can see it going so many different ways. I see more bagel trucks. I see, um, refining so I basically we were doing all of our own bagel production the first, like, 3, 4 years, and then it got to be too much for me, and so I outsourced it to a bagel, manufacturer that worked with me on a recipe, helped me get it to a place that I think was good. But now we're at a point where we wanna bring things back in-house. It'll it'll make the bagel better, more cost effective, and easier for us to scale. So I think in the next year or 2, we are going to open a commissary kitchen where we have a centralized bake and a centralized location for all of our prep, probably some more trucks in that time. In fact, we have one launching in Manhattan Beach early June, and we have one truck that is currently being built right now, and that should be done before the end of the year. And I'm thinking for that, we want to probably hit like Encino, or, somewhere sort of like in the valley. Like, we're in Studio City, but like somewhere like Deep Valley, I think would be the next truck. So I think my hands are pretty full. I mean, I used to, and I still do this. Like, I'm like a big dreamer, and I'm always like, I want to have 50 of these things, or I want to have this and that. I want to have a bagel coffee drive through. I want to do a Yeastie Boys drive through. But, like, really, you have to just kind of like plan your year, and like just like So you have my year agenda, but then, like, long term, man, it would be cool to see these things like like in airports and markets that would appreciate a Yeastie Boys. And yeah, just that for sure. More collaborations, more fun stuff. We're doing something with Netflix right now for a TV show that we were on. And those are really fun because, like, the mundane stuff is like the day to day is like, it kills the creative, like, flame for me. So, like, whenever we do these cool pop-ups or activations or collaborations, it's like a fun, like, just like extra thing that we have going on that, like, sparks the day and, like, makes our crew and me happy. And so more of those would be great.
Awesome. What about the people who do not live in LA? What can they do to make their bagel experiences more fun?
W- Well, if they're real bagel fans, it's actually worth, I mean, well, two things. One, I'm seeing a lot of great bagel places pop up in random places. Like, we did a thing for Super Bowl, this past Super Bowl, and it was in New Orleans. And I was like, do I want to schlep like 2,000 bagels with me, or do I find someone there that can make a good bagel? So I hit up this place called Flower Moon Bagel in New Orleans. Like, who would have thought New Orleans? They're so good. And, like, you're finding think like mom and pop bagel places like that all over the country. I'm seeing them pop up every day. I'm like, oh, weird. Texas? Oh, okay. Nashville? Like, what, Seattle has a nice booming bagel scene. Dallas has a nice bagel scene. In fact, a guy that I've known for years, Oren is his name, owner of Starship Bagel in Dallas, was just nominated for a James Beard Award. First bagel ever to be nominated as James Beard. So it's like, I really think that like you can actually find good bagels like in any city you are in for the most part. Um, but if you want to really like ramp up the bagel experience, I mean, a trip to New York, a trip to Los Angeles, and a trip to Montreal will pretty much do it.
Okay. And what about the things to put on the bagels?
Oh my goodness.
Endless, right?
I mean, endless. That's the cool thing about it. It's like we have our set menu, but it's really like a secret menu. It's like 1,000+ item menu because there's so many like variations of and combinations of bagels you can make. Like you like spicy, all right, jalapeno, hot sauce. Like you like cheesy. Well, there's so many different types of cheeses, and then like even just like a different bagel, or like you like sweet, you like savory, like you know, there's just like endless combinations, and like I feel like we haven't even unlocked like even half of them yet.
Okay. So have a bagel adventure, mix and match, and see what tastes good to you.
Yes,
Sounds
I
like
think so.
awesome.
And,
What way do you find your musician background has helped you build your bagel empire?
Um, I think about that a lot. I think a couple way, for me, I'm really like a people person. I'm a networker, and with music, um, I think it's probably with every industry, but like with music, I felt like it was very network based. I mean, like, I moved to LA for it really. And I think I got an internship when I was in New York for a PR company, a music PR company. And I got the internship because I wanted to make my own contacts within the industry to elevate and promote my music. So what I learned was like Abigail is our first publicist hire ever. Uh, because I was my own publicist, and we've had help from publicists for projects, but no one that we brought on, because I knew how to do that really, and that was from being a musician and being working in PR and understanding like how to promote, how to be a hype man, how to like, but it's like, but it's I can only really be a hype man for things that I'm really passionate about or that like I really believe in. So, for a long time, it was music, and then, I just got so excited about Yeastie Boys and bagels, and so I think also being, like, a leader and being, like I was, like, a singer and played guitar, and I was, like, a front man in different bands, and I think that, like, you have to have, like, sort of, you have to have, like, some sort of, like, bureaucratic, like way of dealing with different personalities and, divas, honestly. Like a lot of divas, man. A lot of ego and stuff and it's like that in the kitchen too. It's really chefs have the biggest egos that I know. Like that, like those guys are and I'm not a chef. I'm just a chubby guy that likes food, and I appreciate food. But I'm not a chef and I see like the chef. So another tangent I went off of, but I think that's how music has helped me to answer your question.
Again, I love tangents. So you tangent away. Uh, People associate bagels with Jewishness, but it's so much beyond that. Do you find
Yes,
that as well?
very much so. It's got Jewish DNA, but I think um, it's just a daily staple. Like it's like it it was. I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that like it's been over 100 years in New York, where you have people serving bagels and then the deli culture and things like that. I think for me, it's really, it's definitely past the just being a Jewish food. I mean, it's like, it is a Jewish food, but it's like not a Jewish food, like a matzo ball soup or like a gefilte fish is a Jewish food. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, bagel is definitely more mainstream. And
Right.
I love how your early food memory of bagels has become your thing. And that doesn't happen very often.
No, and that's why it clicked so hard when it did happen because I'm like, of course this is my shtick. Like, of course this is my thing. Like bagels at every Havdalah brunch, kiddish brunch, like Brit, funeral, wedding, uh, after school snack. Like it was just it's comfort food. It's like bread. Who doesn't love bread? You know, and like so boiled bread. You know, and so yeah, and it just like I'm a very like culturally Jewish person, and I'm proud of that, and I think like I I I just yeah, I'm proud of it. So um it was the perfect thing that, like, found me, you know? It like, I didn't I wasn't like, this baker who was coming up trying to do this thing, like, I was like, "Whoa, like, this is maybe something I'm interested in," and I just got more interested, and that was, like, something I'm like, "This is it for me, this is the thing."
Amazing. Well, it's been so much fun chatting with you. Where can people learn more about you and Yeastie Boys?
I would say Google is a good place. I mean, there's a lot of articles over the years, Yeastie Boys Bagels, that, you know, different phases of our timeline and being a business. And our website, yeastieboysbagels.com, and then our Instagram, which is really sort of like, I almost think that's like my daily journal in some ways. Like I just kind of like put out what I'm feeling and what I'm working on and things like that. So Yeastie Boys Bagel Instagram and see us on the streets. We have these trucks that are like moving billboards. You can't miss them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I'm hungry for bagel. Gotta admit it, but I
I'm
know where
thinking
I can
about
get
that
some
too.
good ones.
Yeah, please.
Uh, Thank you so much, Evan. Thank you for tuning in to Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and or your favorite podcast platform. And if you go to jewishjournal.com/podcasts, you can read the articles that go with each episode, and you can learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. Until next time, enjoy a good bagel and bon appetit.